The question becomes whether Americans actually want to visit them. It's been a main question right now for malls across America. And one new study from location analytics platform Placer.ai has dug into whether or not outdoor malls are actually seeing a bigger rebound than indoor malls through all of this. And for more on that, I want to bring on Ethan Chernofsky, Placer.ai VP of Marketing, joins us now. And Ethan, when you look at it, I guess it would make sense on paper and logic that you might see people wanting to go back to outdoor malls. But is that what you've been seeing play out?
Sure. So I think, first of all, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here. One of the things that we're definitely seeing is that the uptick for outdoor malls is happening at a faster rate than for indoor malls. And obviously, there are a lot of reasons why. On the one hand, you know that indoor malls have greater levels of restrictions or semi-openings, or some of their stores haven't been fully opened, or movie theaters not opening. But outdoor malls do present this nice mix of generally having retailers where you can accomplish a lot more with a single visit, and also this feeling of security that comes from an outdoor center.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the visit term there, because it's not all just about visits. As we know, when you get malls, the idea is you get people coming from longer distances, they stay there longer. So what does that look like here when we see kind of the shift to outdoor and indoor malls continuing in the pandemic?
Sure. And I think this is a really critical point, that we're not seeing, while we do see outdoor centers rising faster, we don't see a fundamental shift in the types of visits. So the visit to an outdoor center tends to be a little bit shorter, a little bit more mission-driven and focused, whereas a mall visit is pulling someone from a longer distance, they're staying there for a longer time, and that gives you a sense of the magnitude of that visit and the intent of that customer. And so it still shows how important malls are to the retail landscape and what a critical role they'll play as they do begin to reopen, hopefully more and more in the near future.
I mean, that's what people are hoping for. But we're dealing with this worrying rise of cases now, and when you think about projecting that out, right? I'm not sure if necessarily people might be more willing or less willing to go out to these places, rather than when this first hit in March and people were kind of trying to figure out what was actually going on. In terms of that, I mean, is the data pointing in any better direction in terms of revisiting these malls?
I think what we're seeing is that obviously in areas where, cases are more under control, we're definitely seeing visits rise faster, but we have to remember where we're coming from. I mean, we were essentially at nothing for a lot of these retailers and most malls in the country, just a month or so ago. And so the fact that we are rising back and we are seeing this resiliency of consumer demand is critical in terms of giving confidence to a lot of these retailers in terms of what the next year or so could look like.
I might be putting you on the spot with this last question here, but when it comes to the specific names of what we're seeing, those that might be tied more to an indoor mall, I'm Nordstrom, or other names out there that might be more targeted to mall locations. We've seen some of these other retail names trade better because they're actually not as frequently placed in malls and more in standalone locations. So would that be, I guess, the main thing to look at as investors are trying to weigh how long this problem is going to weigh on retail?
So interestingly, there's a few factors that change that dynamic a little bit. And one is a lot of indoor mall retailers are looking at outdoor locations as an opportunity. And even when we think of kind of the bigger players like a Nordstrom, when you think about what's happening in New York, while they did shut down malls, they're allowing stores with an external entrance to stay open. So some of these department stores actually have a built-in advantage as opposed to a retailer that's operating in the middle of a mall on a normal basis. But I think the really critical factor here is that, malls are going to change, and they were changing before the pandemic, and they're going to continue evolving after the pandemic. And I think what we're going to see now is some really kind of intrepid brands look and see what an outdoor center could mean for them. But at the same time, that's going to create opportunities for other brands that had mainly been outdoor only to maybe try out what a mall could do for their retail footprint.
Hey investors, Zack Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.